Someone give me we good? Good morning. Thanks for joining us this morning. It's an important conversation we're having here as Californians. How do we bring solutions to our fellow residents that are experiencing homelessness and the community impacts because of it? My name is Brad Fieldhouse. I'm the executive director of a nonprofit called CityNet. We're the contracted agency working with Caltrans, Highway Patrol, and the city. The mayor has among many priorities that the mayor has, there's a new department, the Homeless Solutions and Strategy Department. We work directly with them. As an agency, we've been working from Santa Barbara all the way down now to San Diego, doing a lot of this kind of encampment clear out. Always difficult work, always challenging work when we're dealing with individuals that are experiencing trauma. But what's unique about what's happening here is an unprecedented amount of collaboration and partnership. We have worked in many encampments. We've worked with Highway Patrol, we've worked with cities, we've worked with Caltrans, but on a daily basis here, we are coordinating services. We sit down every morning, we strategize and we prioritize locations. We prioritize situations, so if it's necessary before we do clearings to take an extra day or two, everybody's on board to say, let's do what's necessary, let's take the time necessary to provide resources. Our job as an agency is to do whatever it takes. As caseworkers, partnering with all the different agencies that are great, that work here in San Diego, our job is to do whatever it takes to connect them to resources, provide information about what's available to them, listen to their stories, connect the dots, and then get them out of here. To date, we started in October of last year. We've been to approximately slightly over 80 encampments like the one we're at here today. Talking to hundreds of individuals, thousands of interactions. The place that we're at today is one of those locations. This location in particular is a level 3 in the Caltrans priority, which means we've been out here pretty much on a daily basis now for almost 4 weeks, working with the individuals. There was approximately 10 individuals that were living in this particular location. We built rapport, we built trust, connected people to resources. There's only a couple people left today, but this is the completion of that multiple week process to get as much help as we possibly can. So that's our job. We're proud to be part of an effort like this that's helping a lot of people. There's a lot of work to be done, and this today shows you what it looks like when a lot of people come together and work and do everything we possibly can to assist the individuals living here and also address the community impact, obviously. So I'm going to turn it over to Mayor Gloria. Thanks for your leadership. Mike, sure.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Brad, thank you for that. Governor, welcome to San Diego. We love having our governor in town. No stranger to America's finest city, coming back again and again, making sure that we stay on the radar screen up in our state capitol. You know, this work that's being done here is really important. And I'm particularly proud of this collaboration between CityNet and Caltrans, the city and the state, to make sure that we're really moving the needle when it comes to ending homelessness in California. You know, when we started this pilot program a number of months ago, as you just heard from Brad, making sure that when we clean up our freeways, which San Diegans say to me time and again they want to see have done, with CityNet's help, what we're doing is not simply moving people from one intersection to the next, but instead what we're doing is connecting them with services, getting them into shelters, and then moving them into permanent housing. Folks, this is how we end the crisis in our state. And it is this collaboration between the city and the state that I believe is now going to be going statewide. And I think that's really important. We recognize the homelessness crisis is not unique to San Diego. Every city, as I talk to my fellow mayors across California and frankly across the nation, we're all dealing with it. But not all of us have a governor with the vision and the willingness to dedicate the resources to actually put literally billions of dollars into the pot to make this possible. And to give cities like ours the resources to be able to hire good, trusted partners like CityNet to make sure that when we're there cleaning, we're not just cleaning, we're offering assistance, we're providing relationship building, we're creating the circumstances where folks like some of the people we talked to today might be willing to raise their hands, come off the streets, get into housing, and end this nightmare that's happening on too many of our freeways and too many of our cities. I want to thank our state delegation. As much as we're grateful for the governor, we recognize it's a partnership led by Senator Tony Atkins. San Diego is well represented in Sacramento, and we want to return the favor by, again, pioneering innovative concepts that can be replicated across California. So with appreciation to our governor, with appreciation towards CityNet and the outreach workers, this is tough stuff, you guys. It's real easy to talk about wanting to get people off the streets. It's far different to come out here every single day and talk with individuals, some of whom are deep in addiction, suffering from mental illness, but to come back day after day after day to actually solve the problem. Brad, you and your team have my absolute appreciation. And then last but certainly not least, to our folks from Caltrans, as well as the folks from OFRS, we thank you guys for doing the hard work to make sure that our highways are clean. Governor said last year, we're not going to allow this to happen any longer. We're going to clean up California. He's getting that job done. And Governor, I appreciate you being here today. So with no further ado, the man got up early. He came to San Diego. And as you can see from the sweat on his brow, he's doing the hard work, not just of leading our state, but of making sure that San Diego is a bit cleaner. Governor, thank you for coming to San Diego today. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. And I know you'll be hearing from the mayor tonight, something I'm quite familiar with, the state of the city. So we're all looking forward to his comments, and we continue in Sacramento to be mesmerized by his leadership and, more importantly, his partnership. And I think really the spirit that brings me here today is that spirit of partnership, not only with Brad and his team and the partnerships that have been established in terms of the outreach, but the partnerships with cities and counties, large and small, all up and down the state of California. I say this often as governor and a former mayor, but a state vision has to be realized at the local level. A few years ago, however, the state had no vision as it relates to encampments, no vision as it relates to homelessness. In fact, 4 years ago, the state was nowhere to be found on these issues. And this is a point of not only optimism, but for consideration for those that are sick and tired of hearing from people like me at events like this, but to not see things substantively improve. I recognize that frustration. I see it every single day. These encampments in California are unacceptable. The dirty streets in the state are unacceptable. The graffiti in the state is unacceptable. We have to do more and we have to do better. But I want folks to know this. We're not continuing to do what we've done. We're doing things we've never done in the state's history. We are targeting interventions, targeting partnerships, and holding all of us to a higher level of accountability. Let me be specific. Last year, we did something novel in this state, recognizing what's happened, particularly with COVID, and this policy where people started to pull back as it relates to outreach on the streets, tents and encampments. Unacceptable, out of control. So last year, we put out a budget, unprecedented in US history, not California history. $14 billion over the next few years will be invested for interventions out on the streets, dealing with underlying issues, long-term but also short-term solutions. And let me just focus on those. That's what we're here about. Last year we put up $50 million, which was novel, for encampment resolution. This year, $500 million was proposed just this week in our budget, tenfold. We're not marginally increasing. We're not modestly increasing, unprecedented investments, a tenfold increase specifically to do the kind of work we're doing out here today. I don't come from this passively. I come from this very actively. This is not my first time cleaning up an encampment. Quite the contrary. We've been doing this for months and months and months. We're backing up our passion with action, with resources and plans and strategies. And I'll tell you, the reason I'm here in San Diego is because your mayor not only gets it, but he's getting things done. The reason I'm here in San Diego with your mayor is that he has the capacity to do what few mayors in California have to do, and that's navigate the halls up in Sacramento to make sure that we're following through on our commitments. And in return, all we ask of your mayor, your Board of Supervisors, and the great work that Nathan Fletcher continues to do for this county, is we want more transparency and more accountability with the dollars we're spending. And it's interesting and important. Do you want to know what's new? Not only the state finally recognizing its role and responsibility to help cities and counties and regions address this issue, but what's also new is that the mayors themselves said, don't give us money unless we deliver results. And so last year, and this is really important for folks to understand, last year we put up $2 billion of discretionary money for cities like San Diego. But in return, we want to see the plan. And there's 6 specific transparent metrics that must be met in order to continue to get funding. And here's the exciting news as a former mayor. If you meet those goals, we will actually give you a bonus, 18% bonuses. We've never done this in the state. So not only are we meeting this moment by recognizing what everybody's recognized, that it's out of control and unacceptable what's happening on the streets all across the state, but we are starting to deliver on what we've been promoting. I don't want to overpromise, I'll close on this, in the short run, but I'm not going to understate the medium to long run. We tend to wildly overstate what we can do in a year. That's generally true in our lives, personal, professional lives. But I think in so often the case, we wildly underestimate what we're capable of doing in 5 and 10 years. So we're on a different track, new strategy, new plans, new focus, new energy in this space, and a recognition that we have to do more and do better. Taxpayers deserve it, and the people, final words, suffering in these conditions deserve it. No one wants to live like that. Disabuse yourself that people want to live in conditions like this. They don't. They may say that from time to time, but the reason this team, Brad's team, was out here for 3 weeks is they recognize the first 2 times in 2 encounters, people may be service resistant. The 17th or 18th, they may say, Brad, you got me. But here's the real issue, Brad. I've got a spouse, and we had a bad situation in that shelter you wanted to put me in. Well, you know what, Brad? I got a severe issue with drug or alcohol. And you know what, I'm not ready to go clean, but that shelter you want me to go to requires me to be clean. So I'm out here. We're trying to provide more entry points, more options, more opportunity to meet people where they are because we're pragmatists, not idealists. We want to manifest those ideals, but you got to do it pragmatically. And as the mayor said, and I'll truly close on this is not easy, it's hard. So folks sitting on the couch screaming and yelling, I get it. But I invite you to help us get it done, to volunteer, to participate, to support nonprofits, to support the efforts of cleanups like this all up and down the state. We can get this done, we can make an impact. And I'm really excited about this year's budget and what we have in store over the next few years for this state and for San Diego and this region. We're going to start seeing real progress. With that, I'm happy to answer, as I told the mayor, all the questions about the state of the city tonight and what he's previewing.
To address more entry points, more options. The mantra over the last few years has been housing. Transitional housing. Certainly we understand the mental health aspects, but I think during COVID, the mental health aspect, nobody wants to live like this. And quite frankly, they can't help themselves because they need the kind of assistance that you're not going to get just with this group.
Yep.
So specifically in the budget, about, especially in the time of COVID, we're reaching out to these people. We're not just cleaning up, but mental health has got to be
Top of mind.
to the point of maybe as much as the transitional housing.
In fact, that was a big part of the budget presentation yesterday. $2 billion focused on immediate and short-term solutions. To your point, we talk so often about these 5, 10-year supportive housing strategies that cost $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 a key. Taxpayers are exhausted. You start doing the math on that, there's no way we'll ever afford to get out of this mess. And so specifically in the budget, we have strategies for rapid rehousing, for short-term housing, for treatment on demand, and an unprecedented $3 billion commitment to rebuild our behavioral health system that was dismantled in the late 60s and 70s. I won't go into the details, but if you ask me, I'm happy to. And we are investing unprecedented money to rebuild that system. And I'm really excited about that, including what I announced 2 days ago, And that is a desire to reform our conservatorship laws in the state of California so we have more tools in the toolkit to help people that can't help themselves. We talked about that on Monday. We have real resources that will be stacked up behind that to provide placement for individuals, but conservatorship reform is on the way in the state.
If I may follow up.
Yep.
So the $3 billion for behavioral health, that's certainly it's part of the homeless situation, but is the $3 billion outside your homeless commitment, so to speak?
Specific.
We have to do more just across the board
Yeah.
to build up our behavioral
No,
health.
I love that, and thank you for the question because it allows me to amplify a point of distinction. That $3 billion is specifically for homelessness. We did an additional budget, and I brought this out, more transparency, this year, $4 billion, $4 billion for all our children 0 to 26. Services and screening, the most significant investment in brain health for our kids in our state's history. That's in addition to. The $3 billion is specific to the issue of homelessness and what's happening on the streets and sidewalks. And I want folks to know this as well. I'm not making this up when I say this. I can literally quantify 58,000 people that we got off the streets last year. And none of you would believe it. I wouldn't believe it. I see what you see, you're like, give me a break. Things have, I get it. But 58,000 people in one calendar year. That's never happened in US history. In fact, it's not my words. The US is now replicating the programs Room Key and Home Key nationwide because of what California was able to do last year, and we're taking it to the next level in the next few years. Well, there are 58,000 people that will tell you their lives have improved since we made those investments. We're dealing with an unprecedented economic contraction, worst in our lifetimes, induced by a pandemic. There's not a mayor or a state that's not suffering from those realities and those challenges. So the headwinds have been particularly pronounced. I got here, there were no strategies, no plans, no investments, and these are multi-year investments. And it's going to take time, and that's exactly why I said what I said a moment ago, is that we're not going to overpromise in the short run, but I'm not going to underpromise in the medium and long run. Different strategies, different plans, new money, new accountability, more transparency, targeting interventions on the streets in particular, encampments, and $1.1 billion additional money just to clean up the freeways, overpasses, underpasses. And I'm telling you, I know this, we have literally quantified the amount of garbage we cleaned up in the last year, unprecedented in California's history. But we're dealing with an unprecedented problem, so we got to do more and do better. Oh, I don't even want to mark that consideration. I mean, we're dealing with macroeconomic challenges, but 58,000 people off the streets. Challenges are unique and distinctive because of COVID and what's happened with encampments and what's happened with tents. But I'm not the mayor of California. It's a big distinction. State vision realized at local level. I said that with intention. I'm a former mayor. And I remember being mayor, I never looked to the state for help. I recognized my responsibility. Now, the great thing about Todd Gloria is he says, yeah, that's true, and we can't do it alone. The state now needs to get involved, and that's why we have a unique partnership, because he's right. The cities now need support that in the past never presented itself. And so you've had strategies that have been localized that now have to be regionalized, and that's where the state has an obligation to help these efforts, not only here in San Diego, but across the state. Yeah, well, California has 31% of the testing sites in America. We're not 31% of the US population. We have 6,288 testing sites. We have 50 OptumServe sites that provide access to testing within 30 minutes of 90% of the population in the nation's largest state, and that's remote and rural parts of the state. We expanded hours of operation at the OptumServe sites. I'll be up in LA at one of those sites that have been supplemented with the National Guard, 200 that have been deployed to help expand the hours of operation. We are competing with the federal government and scarcity and testing nationwide, but since December 1st, we've been able to find, and by the way, there should be a report just done on this logistics. We were able to get 10.9 million new over-the-counter tests to our public schools just in the last number of weeks. 10.9 million. Not a state in the country can lay claim to even a tenth of that. So we're doing everything in our power to get more tests and to get more testing sites. So I deeply appreciate the frustration and the angst that people have. And today we'll be highlighting our $2.7 billion budget investment in this space, going through details at noon in Los Angeles about the application of the new investments and some early action we'll be asking the legislature to take. I want to say this though, while our positivity rate is high, it's about 50% less in states like Texas and Florida. Our death rate per capita is 50% less than states like Florida, 35%. Lower per capita death rates in states like Texas. We'll get through this last surge. A few more weeks. It's going to be hard, few weeks. The hospital numbers are going up. We did an executive order yesterday to provide more resources and flexibility to our schools for substitutes and retirees, doing the same for our public health care workforce. We have over 2,500 now out-of-state healthcare workers now in-state, another 1,250 that we'll be bringing in the next few weeks to supplement those efforts. We continue to do everything in our power to get through what we hope is the last big surge of this pandemic. And I want to just thank the mayor, thank incredible leadership of Nathan and his colleagues on the County Board of Supervisors that have been leading the state. Todd Gloria, he'll probably talk about, this is his preview tonight, maybe, some of the efforts they've done that have been state leading efforts here in San Diego and in the county to get people tested and get people support to get through this Omicron. That's the investments we're making, starting to build them. Let me be specific though. So you want specifics. 58,000 people we've gotten off the streets. Let me tell you how we've done that. Just in the last 12 months. We went out and we procured hotel, motel rooms all up and down the state of California. You want an immediate short-term solution? That's it. We were able to get 50,000 people into those hotel rooms immediately. Not congregate shelters, into hotel rooms. We then went out and did something permanent. It was called Room Key, $846 million. That's a specific number last year. In 5.5 months, we brought into escrow, meaning ownership, including here in San Diego because of the mayor's leadership, 6,000 permanent new hotel rooms, of which 8,000 people have been served. That's 58,000. The budget I just put out is for 55,000 new units. They include tiny homes. I'll give you a specific. 86 of them are right there on the other side of the VA in Los Angeles. We just provided those a number of weeks ago. We're providing more support for the work that Todd is doing. I'm sure I'll talk about it tonight for more Room Key and Home Key support. And that number, 846, is close to $6 billion. From 846 million to 6 billion. That's the multi-year investment to replicate what we did last year. So we mean business. We're stepping a whole nother level. This is your city. Why am I answering questions?
Shannon, I want to amplify what the governor just said, and not to give a preview of what we're going to talk about this evening, but to that specific point. This time last year, we had roughly 1,100 shelter beds in the city of San Diego. Today, we have over 1,300. We are working every possible angle that we have to try and find more housing, more shelter bed housing as we build more permanent housing. So you take what the governor's giving us, that hotel conversion money. We did 2 properties last year. We think we can do more than that this coming year thanks to the dollars that are coming. But at the same time, it's a parallel process, right? So expand the shelter bed capacity. 1 year, 20% increase. And then as we remove bureaucratic hurdles and work with better outreach teams, we're seeing the occupancy levels, the vacancy rate come down, right? So they're fuller. More beds that are full more of the time. That means more people on their way to permanent housing and ending this nightmare. That's how we get it done. None of it would be possible without local collaboration and statewide collaboration. And let me point out, I think you were with me at the Seahart shelter we just opened on Sports Arena Boulevard for folks who are both severely mentally ill and substance abuse addicted. This is the first time the city and the county have come together, 44 new beds right there. We intend to do more of those in 2022. So you see a collaborative effort, more shelter beds, more permanent housing. This is how we take what people are asking for, of get the homeless off the streets and make it real.
Looking forward to the state of the city. Thank you all very much for being out here today. Thank you.